Hello guys, and welcome to a new episode of the Football Show. As today we're going to talk about the departure of Xabi Alonso as the Real Madrid manager. We're also going to talk about yesterday's FA Cup game between Liverpool and Barnsley, Serie A, and also the Carabao Cup, today's semi-final. First, let's start with obviously, which was the big news yesterday. Real Madrid and Xabi Alonso have parted ways in a mutual consent. I don't know whether they really sacked him, because in their statement they didn't say that they sacked him, but it looks like they sacked him. But probably they don't want to admit that because he's an ex-player, an ex-legend of the club. But yeah, like it seems like Real Madrid are 4 points behind Barcelona. And yes, I know they lost the Spanish Super Cup semi-final against Barcelona, and they lost 3-2. And they were first half they should have been losing more heavily. However, in the second half they improved and they had some chances, big chances towards the end. And they looked competitive in that game, even though they lost against Barcelona compared to where they lost 5-2 last year against Barcelona. And they're 4 points behind Barcelona in La Liga, and they still have the Spanish Cup, and they still have the Champions League, where I think they are in the top 8, 7th, and something like that. So you think like, okay, yeah, it's not great for Real Madrid standards, and Real Madrid have won 5 games in a row before coming to the game against Barcelona, and they lost against Barcelona in the Spanish Super Cup final, which is always damning to Real Madrid because it's their biggest rival, especially in the final, and Real Madrid have high standards. But it doesn't warrant enough to think like, okay, Xabi Alonso is not going to be the manager of Real Madrid after the Spanish Super Cup final. However, no, because there's many reports that he resigned, because as you guys saw the videos of the Guard of Honor, where Xabi Alonso was trying to tell the players to give a Guard of Honor to the Barcelona players. However, Kylian Mbappe was like throwing hands in the air and saying to the players, no, don't do this, don't do that. And the players kind of walked with him, and they didn't give him a guard of honor to Barcelona. Was Xabi Alonso wanted this place to do it, to use it like, probably Xabi Alonso wanted to do it because as a kind of motivation, but that didn't happen. You can clearly see the player power of Real Madrid is very, very strong. I'm sorry for the noise, but it's because I'm hanging out is a bit different today. But like the player power of Real Madrid is very, very strong. You can clearly see. Do you really think Florentino Perez and the leaders of Real Madrid were gonna back a coach over Vinicius, Mbappe, and Bellingham? No, they were never gonna do that. Similar things happened in the past. Benitez with Ramos and Ronaldo, where Ronaldo and Ramos were controlling the dressing room, and they were not happy with Benitez, and Perez was like, okay, let's sack him. And like Florentino Perez he's a great president, but you can clearly see he's not a footballing man. He's a marketing guy. You can clearly see it because if Real Madrid, back coach or the coach over Vinicius and Mbappe, Real Madrid are going to lose income in terms of shirts, sponsors from Mbappe and Vinicius. So they're like, okay, let's sack the coach. So Real Madrid have always been like this, and it's not fair. In my opinion, it's a joke of a decision. Listen, they didn't sack him, but you can clearly see do you really think the club are going to back? I know Xabi Alonso didn't get sacked, and according to most reports, he resigned, even though some Spanish journalists say he was sacked. Do you really think Perez was going to back Alonso over the players? No chance. Considering in the past, Perez didn't back Ancelotti. Over Perez didn't back Ancelotti over the players last season when they had a difficult season. Even though Ancelotti's time was coming to an end, and he was there for 4 years in his second stint, so it was kind of, maybe Real Madrid needed a time for a new change. But they got the change, and when you see the Real Madrid team, I know I criticized Real Madrid after the El Clasico and I said, have they really improved under Xabi Alonso? However, I never said Real Madrid should sack Xabi Alonso, by the way. I never said that. Or I should say Alonso should leave Real Madrid. I never said that. I felt like, you know, he's a good coach, he's a very good manager, but I said it before, Real Madrid is a players' club. It's not a manager's club. I said it before. And do you really think, yes, even though, according to most reports, Alonso resigned, do you really think Perez, again, was gonna back a coach over the players? No chance. No chance. We all saw the reports of Ramos and Ronaldo fighting with Benitez. We all saw that. And the player power of Real Madrid is very strong. Anybody who wants to coach that team of Real Madrid needs to have a strong personality and need to be a strong manager and need to be a fantastic manager. Not because if you want to be successful at Real Madrid as a manager, it's not about, you know, teaching the tactics or, you know, pressing or whatever. It's about managing the egos. It's about managing the egos, managing the media, managing the pressure, having a huge personality. It's not about managing tactics. You know, it's a players' club. It's not a manager's club. I said it before, and even when Alonso was appointed as the Real Madrid head coach, I think back in I think it was May or June, something like that. I said it, and this is not me to saying to prove me or myself right. I said it. Go check when the appointment happened. I said that Alonso is a fantastic coach, but he needs to be careful because managing that egos is not easy. It's not easy. So I feel sorry for Xabi Alonso because I feel like he's a guy with great integrity. I feel like he's a fantastic coach. He's done a phenomenal job at Bayer Leverkusen. I feel like he was unlucky at Real Madrid, even though he didn't do himself much favors because of some of the substitutions he made, some of the lineup selections he made, some of the mistakes he made. But I also feel sorry for him because, you know, even like, for example, one of the beginning of the problems, I mean, I remember before a game where I watched Real Madrid play against PSG in the Club World Cup semi-final, where Real Madrid got battered 4-0. And I was watching the game with my father, and he said to me, the players are against Xabi Alonso. And I was like, what? Like, he just started as the head coach, and he didn't have like a real preseason, and he just came in and they had to start quickly the Club World Cup, which didn't help Alonso, by the way. And you say the players are against Alonso? No, come on, it's too early to say that. But the more months and the weeks it followed, the more my father was right. Because it seemed like the players were against him from day one, from the start. And you know, those players don't like it. They don't like those type of managers who teach tactics and being like a top head coach and teaching and pressing and attacking, and they don't like this kind of coach. They don't like the Jurgen Klopp style coach. They don't like a Pep Guardiola style coach. They don't like a Xabi Alonso style coach. They like a manager who will let the players do whatever they want, and the players are the most important at Real Madrid, and they have the control. It's a player power. It's a player power, and with this current shit show that is happening at Real Madrid, which is a shit show, let's be honest. You know, it's not helping. Like, it's not helping the players. Yeah, okay, you're placing with Arbiola. I mean, if Xabi Alonso, you saw that video with the guard of honor between Kylian Mbappe and Xabi Alonso, and that was completely disgraceful, disrespectful from Kylian Mbappe. That was that was the end, clearly the end. When you lose that dressing room, when you lose the respect of the players in the dressing room, you will never get it back. And I think Xabi Alonso knew it. He knew it. When Mbappe was throwing hands to him, and Alonso was walking, and he was like this, he sensed it. You can see it in his face. You can see that he's like, okay, that's it. I have nothing back. He knew it. And, I thought, I think one of the big problems started where it was the beginning of the end of Alonso, was ironically the game that they won. And it was against Barcelona, El Clasico, 2-1. Where he subbed off Vinicius Jr. and Vinicius was throwing hands in the air, swearing, angry, and that was the beginning of the end. And you could clearly see, and the next game, and you saw Vinicius, he apologized after the incident, but he apologies to the players. He said apologies to the players, to the teammates, and to the presidents, and to the club. He didn't say apologies to the manager. So you can clearly see, even as an apology posted that he made after the game, El Clasico, Vinicius, he still disrespected Xabi Alonso even more. And not only that, Xabi Alonso could have dropped him from the next game because of what he did in El Clasico. But the people from the above, they tell Alonso, play him. He's a star. He brings commercial. He brings money. It's what Perez wants. And you see what happens. So from that one, that didn't help Alonso. It didn't help Alonso. And the Mbappe moment didn't help him, of course, and that was the end. Clearly the end. That was more slap in the face. It was like, yeah, it's done. Finished. When you lose the dressing of those big egos, big players in the dressing room, that's it. Finished. And it's not like, I'm not saying the performances and the football on Alonso was outstanding. No. But the results were not that terrible. Don't tell me Real Madrid sacked him because, or he left the team because of results. Don't tell me that. Because, I remember Zidane's second season, or first full season in his second stint, where Real Madrid was struggling as well. They got knocked out of the Copa del Rey, they were behind in La Liga, they got knocked out by Man City in the last 16 of the Champions League. Don't tell me, he left or they sacked him because of the results. No. If they did that, then they would have sacked Zidane back then. So, and that was a second stint, by the way, not the first stint. So, I don't believe that they sacked him or he left because of the results. I believe that departure happened because of the conflict between him and the players, and the conflict between him and the leaders. Because I remember, I think there was some reports that said that Xabi Alonso wanted to bring a midfielder, a physical midfielder, because they lacked that in that midfield. Valverde, Tchouameni, Bellingham, and Camavinga. They lacked the physical midfielder that they needed. And Alonso wanted it. He wanted Zubimendi, and the leaders of the club said no. Xabi Alonso wanted to keep Modric. The club said no, leave him. Even from day one, if you're gonna bring a coach and if you're gonna pay 10 million to buy Leverkusen, to bring a head coach to the club, why don't you do even a single thing of what he wants? Why waste his time? Why waste your time by paying 10 million to him and to get paying 10 million to the club to get Alonso and don't give him what he wants? Why waste your time? But this is typical Real Madrid. They think, it's typical Perez. The guy doesn't listen to anybody. Listen, I'm not saying Real Madrid have been absolutely a failure for the last 10 to 15 years because they still won Champions League in La Ligas. But some of these kind of things happen as well because of Perez as well. So, yeah. And Arbiola, they're replacing Alonso with Arbiola. I mean, come on. The guy has no experience in managing, and people say, but Zidane, he used to manage Real Madrid at Castilla, and he had no much experience in managing. Well, first of all, you're wrong to say this, because first, Zidane was an assistant manager with Ancelotti, so he had an image of how the players are in profile of personalities and how they are as the players, like Ramos and Ronaldo. And he knew them. He was in the dressing room. He was assistant to Ancelotti when they won the Champions League 2014. That's the first of all. Second of all, this is Zinedine Zidane, my friend. Zinedine Zidane. He has the respect he has the right to have the respect and the aura of everybody. You know, even players like Ramos and Ronaldo, when Zidane arrived to the dressing room, they were like, Zidane, we have to respect him. You know, he's a no joke guy. Won the World Cup. He was, because of what he did as a player. We have to respect him. You know,